Alright guys, on deck for review we got something a little bit different here today. I actually didn't even know about this product until about 2 months ago. It is the See-All sight. I'm not sure if you guys can see it there. If you guys can't, don't worry about it. I will get some shots with my camera where you're actually able to see the optic. Just trying to let you guys see what I'm seeing here at the beginning of the video. But like I said, I didn't know this existed. One of my viewers actually asked me a question about it, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And I looked it up, and it looked like an interesting little concept. I'm a big fan of fiber optic sights on a lot of guns. Basically, several of my guns. If you guys have seen my Rock Island Tactical, my Glock 34, several guns I own, I run fiber optics on there because I like the ability to pick up that optic real quick. This sight sort of works on the same principle in terms of bringing light in and magnifying it to allow you to see it easier. But it's an interesting little optic. We'll do a little bit more shooting, and then I'll get into it a little bit more close up and personal after this. I went ahead and zoomed in so you guys can get a good look at this optic here. Basically, on top, what you're going to see looking from above, this is the magnifying lens up front, which is the part closest to your eye as you're firing. Then these two little Allen keys right here, those are for to mount it onto the rail. So it mounts onto any 1913 style rail. And here we have the elevation adjustment knob. So moving the optic up and down to get your zero, that's how you're going to do it right there. And then we have the edge glow material back here. Edge glow material, for some of you guys are probably pretty familiar with it because it's used in a lot of different industrial applications. But what it basically does is it takes a lot of all the light that's coming in from the top here, and it kind of moves it out to the edge to make the edges appear to glow, hence the name edge glow. Putting the optic on its side, one thing you're going to see here is obviously the logo, the patent number, and then here is your windage knob. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I've had this optic for about 2 months now. I've ran it on 2 different guns. I ran it both on the 870 here, as well as one of my AR-15s on just a cheap UTG riser mount. But basically a few things I like about it, a few things I don't like about it. We'll get to the things I don't like about it first. Let's get those out of the way. First thing I'd say I don't like about it versus, say, like a traditional red dot optic. There's no field of view around the target. So basically it's, for those of you guys that have shot AK pattern rifles, it's an open type sight. So you put your sights on the target and you can only see above it, and you put like your little, on this one, the triangle, where essentially where the front sight would be. So it's not like a terrible system. It's not something you can't shoot well with, because you absolutely can, just like you could shoot well with leaf type sights. But so you can't see through it, which generally, I mean, most people would prefer to do if you could. This one you can't, so you just got to put that reticle right below where you want to hit. The tip of the triangle is where you're going to start making impact with your bullet once you get it zeroed. So that's just something right there. The other thing I don't really like about it, and probably more than anything else, it just kind of annoys me, personal preference, maybe some of you guys wouldn't mind it, but they put the name in writing, as you saw earlier in the video, See-All. It says right underneath the reticle. What that does, at least in my opinion, is it kind of distracts from your overall sight picture. So if they took that off there, I think it'd be a little bit quicker, I guess, to get on target and to pick up with your eye. Because first few times when I just kind of brought the gun up, quick look over it, I noticed that writing. It just subconsciously, and after probably, shouldering the weapon 5, 6, 7 times, I started to not notice it. But it's just something that I don't really think it needs to be there. Obviously, it's on the outside of the optic. You could just do without having it on the reticle. The other thing I just kind of was a little weary about, but never experienced an issue with, is the windage and elevation adjustment knobs. There's no clicks on them, so there's no positive clicks. But that said, I ran it here on the 870. I put about 100 rounds, both practice crap, slugs, and buckshot, with the optic on, and it never lost zero. My slugs were still hitting the same point of impact that they were once I got it zeroed in at the end of it. So no issue there. It's just I think if they did that, it would maybe improve the feel of it, at least the user perception of the feel of it. But again, it didn't have any impact on it, so maybe that's just me being neurotic. Anyway, enough of the bad stuff. There is some good stuff about this. The optic is parallax free. So basically, if you don't have a good cheek well, when you're on it and your eye is the right or left or high or low of where it should be to have that optimum sight picture, that the reticle stays on target as to where the gun is oriented. So it's for situations where you may have a less than ideal sight picture, or stock weld I should say, you're able to get on target quickly, and I guess the optic makes up for that mistake, if you will. Another thing, it's not impacted by weather. Last weekend I was out there shooting this in the rain. The reticle still works just fine. There was a little bit of not haze, that's not the right word, but just what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess rain droplets on the magnifier. But even with that, it still looks fine. So, you know, unlike maybe some red dots that you'd be worried about taking out in the rain, they had no issues whatsoever. Still easy to see, easy to pick up, things like that. That edge glow is very, very bright in the day. So on that topic, actually, so when you're out there in the sunlight, I mean, your eye is drawn to it. Very, very quick to recognize. The downside of it, obviously, is that there's no illumination at night. Now, I have the Enforce WML that a lot of you guys saw the review of on this light. And just doing some room clearing practice, or training, I guess you could say, around my house. When I hit this light, this is a 200 lumen light. When I hit the light, you can see the optic and you can see the reticle. It's not extremely bright, but it's definitely usable if you still want to do it with a light. Now, with the light off, if you're moving around in a dark area, you cannot see the reticle. But then again, you shouldn't be shooting into a dark area because you don't know what's there. So, kind of pros and cons on that, but it is still visible. It's just not super bright. It's sort of like fiber optics for those of you guys that have that on your handguns. Cost is definitely something I like. You can get this thing shipped out to you. I think Amazon has it for $99 right now. This is 2013, guys, if you guys are watching this in the future. But so for $100, I'm getting a quick sight that seems pretty durable so far. That's another pro for it. I mean, this thing got banged around by the shotgun here. Pump shotgun recoil is about as harsh as it gets for most guns that we're going to be using. I guess there's big bore rifles that are going to be a little worse, but most people aren't going to be putting this on anything harder than in terms of impact than a 12 gauge shotgun. So holds zero just fine, seems pretty rugged, and for the price, like I said, it's a rugged little optic. No batteries on it, so you don't have to worry about your optic running out of battery power. So just, you know, obviously this thing's most likely going to be compared to some of the budget red dots out there, so that's just a pro in its side there. And the warranty, they have a 30-day money-back warranty. Just even if you don't like it, you can still send it back. So those of you guys that are afraid of trying it out, I mean, that might be something that pushed you over the edge to go ahead and try it. But all in all, like I said earlier, it's an interesting little optic. I'm actually surprised there aren't more of these out there, or competitors making a similar product, because a lot of guys like fiber optic sights. And really, although this isn't a fiber optic sight, in reality, when you use it, it's extremely similar to what you'd see on a fiber optic sight. Your eye's drawn to it quickly, works well in the daytime, things like that. So I'm surprised there aren't more out there. It works, it does what it says. That said, probably the best uses for it, at least in my opinion, would be like we have it here on a shotgun. Maybe if you're running want to run an optic on a pistol, it would do real well with that, like a competition setup or something like that. On the AR I was running it on, I tried to shoot for groups, but honestly I only had wolf ammo out there that day, and 62 grain in a 16-inch 1-in-7 AR for those of you guys that are wondering. I was getting about 5-inch groups. Now, a lot of that's probably due to me. So it is possible to get decent groups, I guess you could say, if you think 5-inch groups are a decent group with your AR or with a long gun, but probably not the best precision optic out there, that's for sure. But I mean, skeet shooting, like maybe like a rimfire 22, something like that in a competition range, it would do an excellent job at that. But all in all, guys, interesting little optic. But if you have any questions about it, anything else I review here on the channel, you can feel free to post in the comment section below. You can also post over at my Facebook page. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you in the next video.